So, welcome to Kinky Konversations. Hi, Fatally, you and your pretty pink hair. We today are talking about the next 7 questions. That we're going to go over the 7 questions that are each day's topic for the next week on the noon hour TikTok show, TikTok Live with Joshua and Kat and Joshua. So we have an hour to go over 7 questions. So what we're going to do is do 1 question at a time. Hey. And I don't know why I can't see me. Usually I can.
Sorry, Mom.
Maybe it must say hide your own view. I bet it says. Show self view. There it is. That way I feel a little bit more orientated. It looks really pretty where you are, Danielle. Okay, so...
Don't panic yet. Don't panic. I'm here.
Good thing. I'm glad to hear it. Let's see. So today I'll run the questions down real quick. We're going to talk about what can you learn from your biggest mistakes, define ethics, morals, and character, who are your role models and what makes them stand out, what positive qualities would a teacher or employer say that you had and why, 2, 3, 4, 5. What wonderful qualities do you cherish in other people? Why do you value them and do you see them in yourself? And what are some of your pet peeves about other people? Do you see those pet peeves in your own behavior? So that's about, 30 hours worth of conversation that we're going to roll up into one. So let's see. What can you learn from your biggest mistakes?
I'm almost done. I got this light, Mom. I'm coming.
That's all right. You're good.
Fucking thing is stuck.
So, anybody want to step into that one?
I would love to.
Learn your biggest mistakes as soon as you get the light thing figured out. Nothing comes to mind immediately for me right now. It seems to me like I make mistakes all the time, and sometimes I feel like I'm not ever learning from them. So I know that can't be true. Yes, we have light we're playing with. Grace.
So I don't know that I have a quote-unquote biggest mistake, but I'll leave that conundrum to my subconscious and just say, one of the things that happened recently, I mentioned on here before, was I had a partner of mine bring up that I had violated their consent, and I was really, really upset about it, and immediately, spiraling, and oh my God, how did I let this happen? What was this? Why did I, want to do this? Like, what is going on? Like, I'm a terrible person, yada, yada. And we were both kind of in that place of like, how's the other going to react? Is this, like, are we losing the connection? Is this person going to hate me? And what was really beautiful about it was he told me, I panicked a little, he panicked a little, we talked about it some more. I went and saw him and talked about it some more, and we both were like, hey, I'm really glad that the talking happened and you didn't like get mad at me and block me and like leave out of my life forever, right? And the reality is I can, sit here and say like, oh, it wasn't that big of a consent violation, but consent is consent, and so it doesn't matter how long the touch happened or where it touched or whatever. If I violated consent, I violated consent. But what that did was it not only pushed me to go to more classes and learn more and put myself back in more of a learning mindset, but it also made me kind of stop and like reevaluate how I was interacting with people. And it's been really, really good, honestly. And it's brought me some new connections. So, yeah, one of the best times, but learning that the world doesn't end when the mistakes happen, that was huge.
Thank you very much. That was awesome. And I'm glad that it turned out to be a good experience. I'm having flashbacks of a similar situation for myself, and what it's reminding me to say to myself is that I make mistakes, but that I am not a mistake, because I go to that place pretty quick. And there are times, I mean, I did that once, and I will feel like this about it probably for the rest of my life. But at any rate, anybody else?
It just left my mind. Just left my mind. I believe the experience with omission, being in power exchanges, like, well, I'm the master, I make decisions on what you know and what you don't know. When the fact of it is, as I see it now, is if I don't entrust my submissive or slave with all the information and I'm trying to manage their emotions, I'm not doing anyone any help. I'm doing a disservice for both of us. And it was when I was called out by my slave for that absence of information, for that omission of information, and that was what I learned from that, is like, and almost any subsequent quote unquote mistake of that point is managing information or not having all the information has always bit me in the ass. And maybe that's the lesson there. Maybe I'm taking that lesson right now, right? It's like the managing of the information, regardless of what it is, how it was, when I try to manage things as opposed to a clear action or a clear communication or a clear intention or clear action, right? This is what I'm doing with no managing. This is just the action. Will the reaction not be the same way? Like it wouldn't impact, because there's nothing to manage at that point. It's like this is just it. And that was years ago at this point, but I carry that with me in practice, because it's like I got called out on it when I needed to, and she did a great service in that. Everyone did a great service. They fucking dropped that ball everywhere. That was a messy ball.
All right. Well, if we don't have any mistakes, I'm ready to move on to another question. Ethics, morals, and character. I forget where I put it, but paraphrasing, my understanding at least, is ethics is what is the right thing to do according to any particular group of rules or mores. You know, there's ethics according to like the law bar. If you're a lawyer, there's certain ethics, certain rules of right or wrong that you have to adhere to in order to be a lawyer in good standing. You work for an employee, any place where you work, there's usually ethics involved. There's ethics that are involved with like the Constitution or what it means to be American, etc. Morals, on the other hand, to me are right and wrong from a, like, that almost supersede the laws of the land. What's the right thing to do? And I say morally, and of course that becomes a circular statement.
You printed it out, you said?
I did it, but I don't know where it is right now.
Let me go see.
I have no idea where it is right
Those
now.
definitions, we've tossed this ball
Yeah,
around
we've tossed it
a
around a
number
lot.
of times.
Yeah, and I don't know where it is.
We're just a little shell-shocked because we've been running 18 hours a day for like the last 3 weeks.
Yeah. Hold on. I think it's being put up in the chat. I'm not sure. Yeah. Thank you, Hurricane. So, ethics refers to the philosophical study of moral principles that govern a person's behavior or the conduct of an activity. It encompasses well-founded standards of right and wrong that prescribe what humans ought to do in terms of rights, obligations, benefits to society, fairness, and specific virtues. Ethics is concerned with the reasoning behind moral judgments and the application of these principles in various contexts, such as business ethics, medical ethics, environmental ethics. Morals are the beliefs and values that individuals hold regarding what is right or wrong. They are often shaped by cultural, religious, and societal influences and can vary significantly from one person or community to another. Morality involves personal convictions about ethical behavior, and often serves as a guide for individual actions and decisions. While ethics can be seen as a systematic approach to understanding morality, morals are more subjective and personal. That's a pretty good way of breaking it down.
Or a shorter way. Thanks, Vix. Morals are personal, ethics are societal.
Well, there you go. Character refers to the mental and moral qualities distinctive to an individual. It encompasses traits such as integrity, honesty, courage, empathy, and responsibility that define how a person behaves in various situations. Character is developed over time through experiences, choices, and reflections on one's actions. It plays a crucial role in determining how individuals respond to ethical dilemmas and interact with others. So they are sort of interrelated, right? One does have something to do with the other. So I suppose that's it. The question says to define them, and there we go, we've defined them, but then there's the whole discussion that can be had around them.
Well, how does that play within the BDSM spectrum?
Well, for instance, there's different ways of, there's different ways of defining consent, right? We have SSC and prick and rack, and people have such, people talk about enthusiastic consent, people, there's all different ways of defining consent, right? And we all, most of us agree that consent is a good thing, but how does that get practiced? How is that experienced by people? What do they do around it? That's where I think you see differences. Some of it has to do with character, some of it has to do with what a person holds as morally right or wrong, and then some of it is ethical, which to me is like, does it adhere to the law of the land?
That's cool. Actually, that breaking it down like that, because I talk about my relationship with consent and how it varies between people. But a lot of my relationships are blanket consent, meaning, because now I'm going to put all these words to use, through my moral and ethical practices, does it define the character, which allows me access to people in that way of blanket consent, meaning yes until no. You have full access to me whenever you want, with whatever you want to do. Understanding that I'm not going to take advantage of it because as they perceive me, I'm morally sound in their judgment and discernment. So they all work hand in hand within this lifestyle.
Yeah. Somebody has a question? Yeah, you want to put that in the chat?
Yeah, absolutely. Drop the questions, please.
Drop the questions, yeah.
If you have any questions, please drop them.
Yeah, whatever. This is TikTok and Instagram and Zoom, so whatever of these platforms you're on, by all means, please raise your hand. Kieran?
What I've noticed is in my lifetime experiences that
Go ahead, Lisa. Ask your
people
question.
could say various morals that they have or possess or think about. That doesn't mean that we all define it the same and are on the same level. Like, you hear a lot about integrity, but what are we talking about here? Where on the spectrum do you have integrity? Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. When you're betting someone's like, yeah, we're not on the same page.
Yeah.
I mean, people practice. It's like any belief system, right? People have what they believe to be true, and then whether they practice that, it's not the same thing. It's like, and that speaks on their character, right?
I was just going to say, that's a matter of character to me, right?
So it's like they feed each other.
Hold certain beliefs or, believe certain ethics and then, have certain convictions, but then what you do, when the rubber hits the road, what are you actually doing, speaks to a person's character.
Here's some more definitions of ethics, morals, and character. Ethics, what my peers and I talk about in theory. Morals, what my community and I hold as values. Character, how I actually live and demonstrate the other two.
Awesome.
I like that, Grace.
Thank you, Grace.
Hurricane says, character is built out of morals and ethics to define who you are in the lifestyle. Awesome. Awesome. So, Kat, I don't know. You left me a little out of word. I was
Sorry.
like, what was coming next?
Oh, sorry. No, my body temperature keeps fluctuating today. So I had too many clothes on just a second ago.
You okay?
Yeah, I guess. Who are your role models? and what makes them people you look up to. Let's see. So in one of the Liza, hold on a second. Go ahead, Karen.
Oh, not to be a kiss ass or anything, but I really respect you and Joshua.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, Karen.
Thank you.
And again, not to be a kiss ass, but I'm being sincere, genuine when I say that.
I appreciate that. I know that you are, and I do. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Genuinely, because it's like the trust that the things that we've spoken about, the things you've shared, I really am appreciative of the trust that you give.
Yeah.
And I mean, there are not many people like y'all that come along, so yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
So for role models, for me, it was like I didn't have any. Like I can say my dad. He was a role model in what it was to do hard work. And as I've gotten older, I've understood where he's come from, and like I get it. Within the lifestyle, I didn't have many at all for a long time until I would easily say Mistress Cyan,
Right.
who was the epitome of leather culture embodied and practiced. Like growing up, it was Malcolm X. And it's funny because they filmed Malcolm X blocks from here, the Spike Lee movie.
Oh, really?
And that's how I found out about who he was, and then I looked into him, and it was like I understood his approach in value and character from the beginning of the movie through the influence that he was led by into his own awarenesses of humanity. It was like, that is the type of person I want to be. Like, I want to be someone who is firm in their position.
Yeah. I mean, I've had role models that have been like place and time role models. Like my mom was a role model for me in the time, from the time she was sick till the time she passed, right? She wasn't treated well. Back then in the medical system, you were not told that you were terminal. You were told you were going to be fine, and they told your family to go home and prepare for your death because they believed that, blah, 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 you would lay over and die if they told you were terminal, so they didn't do it psychologically, whatever. It's the dumbest thing in the world you can think of now. Nobody even believes they really did that back then. But when my mother, between her first and her second discovery of the cancer, she knew they were related and that she had been lied to. And so she became sort of a spokesperson in a period of time for what it was like to be a terminal patient, how terminal patients felt, what they wanted, what they needed, that it was okay to ask them questions at a time when nobody was doing it. She was, I aspire to be like that, right? I aspire to speak the truth even when it's not easy. Like when people don't care, it would be just as easy not to, right? She had no skin in that game except that she was angry. And so she spoke for all the people at that period of time that didn't have a voice, right? They weren't even told. We had a girl in our neighborhood who, her mother died, literally, mommy went to the hospital and then she just never came home. Like they had no idea. Very different way. So that's probably my earliest role model. And it took me years to understand that was what her life was like, and to see that as a role model.
Hi, Grace.
So, looking in the lifestyle, I have a couple different role models. One that I met, and I feel really grateful that I can like reach out to him at any point with any random question, and he will answer me, even if that's a phone call conversation. Let's set up time. And I really trust his judgment. He's been really, really cool. It was great to work with him in the past. Another one that I have not met, but that I enjoy highly is Lee Harrington and Midori. Both of them kind of, I think the driving force of all the people that I have as role models is that they're okay with saying, I don't know, and with disagreeing, but not making that disagreement define the relationship. Like a lot of times when you have a disagreement with somebody, they're like, oh, well, we think separate things. Now we have to go separate ways. And for some of those, sure. If you're going to say that, murdering grandma in the kitchen is a normal Sunday, I'm going to disagree with that, and that's not something we can go the same way on. But if you're going to say, apples are better than oranges, I can say, well, I like grapes better, but sure, whatever. Walk on the same way. So I think finding people that aren't afraid to kind of challenge me and to talk through things, because I can be very blunt. My autism will often strip away whatever niceties are needed for communication and be a hindrance. And it's the people that are willing to say, like, okay, let's communicate like that, and let's talk about this and hit it head on, and then continue on. And no, like, there's not feelings about the conversation, but we can acknowledge any kind of bad blood and still come out on the other side of it, knowing ourselves and each other better and having a better understanding of what the conversation was. So I think those are probably the two biggest things that I look for. Another thing I look for is for people to understand that the more you know, the less you know. James Baldwin said in an interview with Maya Angelou that, when he was very young, he knew a lot, but as he has gotten older, he knows very little, which is a great relief.
There's a good question in the chat that says, what standard do others use to identify role models?
Before we get to that real quick, I just want to say lifestyle role models for me are you and Mr. Cyan.
Thank you, Mom.
You've been a role model for me in this lifestyle. I just needed to say that out loud. So what standards do others use to identify role models? Does anybody have an answer to that question?
I think for me, it's the standard to be a role model is a person wants to mold their actions similar to yours energetically, maybe, philosophically, in practice. Like, to be someone who, like you said, Grace just said, to be able to strip off the filters to get the message direct, right? That is a quality that is up there for me. It's like someone who actions align with the words.
Yeah, who walks the walk.
Yeah, thank you, Kieran. Yeah.
Someone who is direct, honest, and truthful. Yeah,
Thank you for that. Thank you for that question.
It's a great question. Actually, I'm gonna write that question down.
Because we have to understand the scope that a person is looking at it from.
So, are we still in role models? Let's see. I'm trying to gauge the time. Yeah, we should probably. So, what are your best qualities, and what about them makes them stand out? So this is the part where everybody will go quiet because everyone has a hard time talking positively.
I'm going to speak positive.
Good.
I'm going to speak positive because yesterday's validation question at the end of the mentorship program was, what have you most recently been validated on? And the intention behind that question is to make you say something nice about yourself that you just were validated on, period. And there's nothing you do to deny it, right? And mine was, I'm trusted. I'm trusted with the people who I make connections, deep connections with, and establish levels of vulnerability that are unique to our relationship. So my level of trustworthiness through deep connection is one of my best qualities, because I'm going to accept you as you are. And the safety that I want to provide those who provide me is like, it helps us have real fucking authentic relationships. And that's my goal, is to achieve that.
Who else? What are your best qualities?
You know who I'm looking at?
I don't. But they do, I hope.
They do.
We should just go around the room like an affirmation and make everybody say one good quality about themselves. Thank you, Fatally Yours, for stepping into that. I appreciate it.
I'm a good listener. I try to see things from all perspectives for better understanding. I'm creative. I'm a good mom. There's also another comment that says, I feel like my role models have integrity and honor in the things they do. Awesome. There's two hands. There's Grace?
I would probably say most people would say that I think deeply. I'm very intuitive, for better or for worse, because I think everybody thinks this way, but they don't apparently, and that still confuses me. But I think deeply on a lot of things. And at the same time, I'm very welcoming and warm past the kind of outer space. When you come around me, I always try to be very welcoming. And I'm very privileged at this point in my life to be in a place where you can see that. You know, I have the extra couch or the book for your kid or the toys for your kid when they come over, you know, whatever that may be. I'm extremely privileged at this point in my life to be able to provide that, to be a demonstration of that. So that kind of welcoming safety is something that I really value and I can now show. And it's something that a lot of times when I have my community nights and people come over, they say, even if we're not doing anything or we're doing a craft night, whatever, it's, you know, I feel very safe in this place. And I feel like you're a okay person to talk to, that whatever I say to you, like, you're doing this in good faith. And that means a lot to me. But it also makes me kind of have extremely high expectations of myself. So, you know, there's the balance with that. But yeah, I think most people would say that I think deeply and I am welcoming.
Awesome, thank you. I appreciate that. I do have that. I know what you mean though about that. Like, if I have a quality that I take for granted about myself, part of it is that I think, well, isn't everybody like this? So I relate to that when you said that, right?
And then the disappointment when they aren't.
Oh yeah, there's that. But people are putting stuff in the chat, and thank you for doing it, for speaking up for yourselves here. What did we have?
While you scroll up, I'm an intuitive service powerhouse. We got some compliments. Thank you so much, Jennifer, that we've been role models.
I'd say mine is the refusal to compromise on my values, even if that ends in my detriment, my ability to look inwards, and the humility to accept my own faults and failures.
Awesome. I'm willing to listen and learn. I'm empathetic. It is hard to say nice things about me. I am a beautiful person with integrity, and I'm loyal to my fam and customers.
Deep communicative, personal, make one think, safe space, kind, big heart, honest, trustworthy, value others' perspectives and opinions, understanding, and always bringing fun or laughter to someone. A person to take accountability and responsibility. Awesome. That's great stuff.
Willingness to learn and listen is sometimes everything in the moment.
Yeah. I'd say that I'm kind and that I'm thoughtful. I think those are two things that are true about me.
I'm freaking hilarious too, fatally yours. Awesome. Big Daddy.
I think one of my best qualities is that I'm not shy and that I'm loving and put together. That's a great thing, because then I'm willing to step up for those that are hurt, right or wrong. It's not necessarily maybe the greatest quality, but I think it's my best. Because it gets me in trouble not being so shy. You know, being outspoken and being the one to talk. And I tell all my friends, you know, I mean, even when I got locked up one time, I walked up to the biggest dude that was in there and I said, man, I am annoying. I will piss you off. Please tell me to go sit in my bed and I will respect it and go. But if not, please no, we're gonna brawl. And I had no problems, and I think I had a few people tell me, go. Like, you're too much for a moment. Go breathe for 5 minutes.
You're a social butterfly.
Yeah, and I took it without disrespect. How do I word it? I took it with respect.
You took it without insult.
No, yeah, and I think I did. I do take it with respect when those around me on a regular basis, not even friends, are afraid to say, hey, shh, or go sit down for a minute. You know, because they know that I do that. But I do think that that's a great quality, and I struggle shutting up because of it.
So there's some more comments.
So that being said, there's a lot of people making comments.
I'm caring and want to be the best for most people. My flaws, I'm a beautiful person with integrity and loyal to my family and customers.
I can put together some eye-rolling puns and dad jokes. Good listener, empathy, I feel deeply. Also amazing listener. I'm glad. You guys must be good listeners because you're all here. Let's see, what's this one? I'm kind, I have an open heart, an open mind, I don't judge, I'm disarming, I'm fucking funny, and I always have time for deep listening. I also have killer hair. Yes, you do. Let's see. My therapist says to remember your Q-tips. Quit taking it personally.
Oh, that's cool.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Too funny.
The fidget spinner. So, what positive qualities would your teacher employer say that you had and why? You were an awesome manager. You function very, very well, especially when there's structure. You're able to lead. You communicate to the best of your ability, which is very high, and when it's not understood, you do your best to reframe it or to process it further. You're patient. You're kind. I said patient. I just said patient.
Yeah.
I say patient twice.
That's funny because I thought you were talking about me for a second, because a boss would say the same thing about me, except for when you got the part about structure. For me, it would have been under pressure. Being a good manager when the structure, being a good manager under pressure because of the restaurant business. But as you were talking, I'm like, wait a minute, those are the same qualities. So, interesting. Somebody, I'm my own boss with so much to learn about me. Yes, that's what my boss would say about me now. Being my own boss.
I think the pressure thing works on my side as well.
Yeah.
I do my best work under pressure.
Yeah. Well, I was in the hospitality business, so the busier it was, the better I was. The more on my game I was. When it was slow, I was sloppy and made more mistakes. When we were busy and we were going, that's when I'm like sort of on my game.
I resonate with what Victor just shared. That given direction and purpose, I will exceed expectations. Yeah,
That's true.
Like I like to hammer shit down
Yeah,
really,
you are.
really fast.
That's absolutely true about you.
I'm good at digging in and figuring something out and then sharing with the team. I can easily teach new folks to do a good job and manage their workload. Also, documentation is my kink, even at work.
One of my early role models in the restaurant business taught me about that, the importance of paper trails and documentation, and that it matters to do that stuff, like that all the paperwork has to be done, all those details.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was a good student, so teachers would say relatively good things about me. I was very good at school, and except for maybe in the middle where it was a little dicey when I was in I want to say 6th, 7th, 8th grade. I don't know that my teachers liked me so much then, but as I got older, school got easier. I care about the job and do my best to complete tasks. I take responsibility. I'm trustworthy, and this is what my last boss said.
So what I'm going to do is urge the people who haven't made answers. Because the idea behind these questions within our mentorship program is, if you're going to advocate for yourself, understand the value of who you are. Understand the work that you've done, the investments that you've made into yourself, the healing that you've accomplished, the learning of the shit that you don't know. How much, right? I think as Grace said,
Right.
The awareness of knowing that you don't know what you don't know, right? And it's like you have an innate value because of that. And when you are stepping into dynamics, you have to understand, who am I in personal value, in self-respect, in self-value, in self-advocacy, in self-awareness, so that when I'm asking for what I want, I'm asking for what I want and not what I was told I want.
That's a big distinction, and that's not easy always to get to.
Yeah.
Because we go through our lives really believing that we should want what we were told what we should want.
And that's the purpose of these questions, is
Right.
to really, who are you? Not who
Right.
do you think you are,
Right.
but who are you? Because you're going to have to say this out loud. And when people, what's cool about it is when we do the intensives or we're doing the mentorship, when it has to come out of the person's mouth,
Yeah.
if it's not the truth, there's an abrasiveness, and not like they're going to outright lie, but like candy coat the answer.
Yeah.
Or after you've written the answers out ahead of time and then you come to speak them, you're like, wait a second, that just doesn't sound right. There's something off
Yeah.
about my answer here. And it's like it really gives you the ability
Yeah.
to process and understand well, where do I stand in this?
That's a big difference. I write really well, and sometimes I can't speak to my thoughts right away. But once I've taken the time to write things out, and then I speak them, it's almost like speaking the written words is like the litmus test for how true is it really. Like, how true is it out of your head? Because words only go so far in your head, but where like it is in your heart and in your spirit and in the rest of you. And like the spoken word is how like the test of that for me, right?
Yeah.
Because if I write it all down, that's great. But if I go to say it and then
that's when
yeah.
you're doing the intuitive work. That's when you're
Yeah.
actually listening to what your body's saying.
Yeah.
You're following your gut instinct. Like, if I say this and it doesn't sit right, something's wrong.
Yeah.
So I have to go back to the drawing board.
Yeah.
And that's the purpose of these
Right.
questions, is you have to be accountable to your words.
Yeah, even in the same thing, like being able to say out loud what your best qualities are, right? Because otherwise we all suffer from a small degree of false modesty. Like, we all have good qualities. Everybody has things that are good about them, right? And so you can either know what they are, or you can, like, I can't see, in which case you're just not seeing yourself clearly. If you can't see the good in you. And she says that knowing that she struggles with that like as much as anybody. Right? And a lot of it depends on, like, I sat into this call and I'm just starting to come back out of it, like in a like I had like a wave of whatever trauma. Like, I went into a hole here for a few minutes when we sat down here, and I'm having to walk myself back out of it. Because for a second I stood on the precipice and wanted to jump in the hole, and I'm like making myself not do that. And and what I can say about myself is I've worked really hard to get here.
It was the water.
Yeah, that was it. The water.
It's almost empty.
I don't care, I'm really thirsty. I had salty lunch, so I'm really thirsty now. So I guess that means we're on to the next question.
I have a first thought approach to these questions. The instinctual answer usually provides the first step to self-discovery.
You're on to us. What we usually tell people when we give them the homework questions is, do this in 2 passes. Give your first answer and then go back around and flesh them out the second time. And you dig at things a little bit better that way. I know I'm in the process of doing that right now with a couple of things myself.
I want to see if we missed anything. How do you define the difference between who you are versus who you think you are?
And there's that first thought. Yeah. For me, a lot of it like, if I have something I think about or think about myself, I can literally run it by the people around me, right? Like, if I'm having a certain kind of thought or feeling, I can run it by you, I can run it by people who know me, and people who will give me honest feedback. People who either tell me, yeah, you're onto something, or yeah, you're full of shit, one of the two. Like, I'll get feedback that will help me to determine if what's going on inside of me, or what I think about what's going on inside of me, is a certain kind of way or not. Like, sometimes I can't figure it out for myself. And so sometimes I have to see myself mirrored back in the people around me who know me, to get a better sense of where I'm at with something. And I have different people that I go to. Right, having a bestie that is brutally honest is a must. Absolutely. And I have a couple of besties that are brutally honest with me.
You gotta be ready for that shit, though.
No, listen.
Not you. But
No, it's true. But like, I had that happen to me over the weekend, and I went straight to the people who give it to me straightest, and I was grateful, because I went in trepidation because I was afraid of what I was going to hear, and I heard exactly what I needed to hear, and it helped me. It helped get me out of the hole I was in, and it helped me see the way forward. I saw the light at the end of the tunnel that wasn't the train, and I was really glad for that. Yeah.
The light of the tunnel that
I'm
wasn't
pretty
the train.
sure we heard a train in the background when you said that.
Thank you. Thank you.
So weird.
Well, we live right by the train, so that happens a lot. Yeah, no, I had that feeling. I was looking down the tunnel, and it looked like a train was coming, and then I had some feedback that said, no, that's just the light. And I was relieved. Thank you, Jennifer. That I didn't jump today. Yeah, no, I just sometimes when the trauma comes up around the edges and I start to feel it, it's like hard for me to hold on. It's hard for me to not let it take hold of me. And I have been working. I've been working on this.
I was gonna say you handle it very well for a while now.
Yeah.
You don't spin out into it.
No, not like I did, not like I used to. I certainly try to make sure I don't take it out on anybody, or, you know, I've done a lot more of, I can feel it come on, and before it's like in my face and in everybody else's energy, I just step away. Sometimes I just step away and cry really hard and then suck it back up and I can keep going. And that's, you know, I wondered about that, Lace. Danielle, you were in the corner, but I couldn't see your hand. It's the light that's in your background. Yes, you're illuminated. Please speak.
This is the sunset on my deck. It's crazy. It's pretty bright, and it's also the halo, but it's the horns holding up the halo. They're in there.
I believe you. So did you want to share? Did she freeze?
I just wanted to. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. There's a lot of people doing yard work around me right now. So I wanted to say before, when you said something about being brutally honest, I feel like I am very much a person that I don't want to hear your brutality about it. I feel like I take extreme measures to make sure that I can be heard in not a brutal way, but completely direct and straightforward. And I feel like that always pans out so much better. I feel like the brutality of being brutally honest is, it can get people's ass up in the air immediately, like, fuck off, how dare you. And I think that a gentler approach.
She did freeze. Well, you're frozen at this point.
At least
There you go.
Not gentler, but to me, without being a complete.
You froze for like the last 20 seconds of that. And
Did I have a good face on? Did I have a good face on?
Yes.
Because if I didn't, then I'd hope you let me know, right?
Yes, and I would do
yeah,
it.
I can't do the brutality of it. I don't think that it gets. Anytime I've been brutally honest, I'll tell you what, it got me: a big fuck you. And I feel like that me trying to explain something, backing out of the brutality is always so fucking hard for me. And it's because somebody's already annoyed that I came at them like that. That's all. This probably doesn't have anything to do with anything.
no, it does. It does. Ultimately, within the last few questions that we covered, it's a boundary.
And I do think there's something to, you can be truthful and direct and honest without necessarily having to be brutal, and some of that just takes a little bit of forethought before you bring something to someone.
Well, the compassion behind it.
Yeah.
Right? Finding the way to deliver it with compassion. Like, I mean,
Right, and I pride myself on being compassionate, so I worked so hard to be compassionate from seeing the result of the brutally honest part.
I think
I feel like compassion comes a long way with that.
I think my way to being able to slip honesty in there sometimes is reframing what I would say into a question and then having the person say it so they can hear themselves say it versus me delivering them the information. It's like so that you can hear it being said so that you can process it. Yeah, wow, thank you.
Sure, and I do feel like there are times that being brutally honest, you know, and when you're at a point, obviously you've had this discussion 1 billion times, this person is continuous. Of course, you know, I'm fucking done, but also I will do and say it every other way besides brutally honest to be heard, because I would hope that somebody would have that kindness and compassion for me if they needed to tell me something that was really hard to say.
Yeah. Thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you. I know there's a lot of things flying around in the chat. Let's see.
I took a little bit of that. Let me just put that out there. I say thank you for listening.
So we have 2 more questions and 12 minutes to do them in.
What wonderful qualities do you cherish in other people? Why do you value those qualities, and do you see them in yourself?
I wonder if it's a general question or is it a specific question? Because there's certain qualities I think that I cherish in certain people, right? There's general things that I cherish in other people. Like one of the things that I cherish in you is how you ask people questions and listen to what they have to say, and then how you laugh. Your laughter is infectious, and it's like when you laugh, everything gets right in my world, and it's just a quality.
And she's talking about this very specific giggle laugh that I do when I'm playing Oculus with my brother, and we're shooting each other.
Fatally yours is mine too. See, it's not. See, just like that. I didn't mean to make you do it, but it's like it's very comforting, right? And not. I mean, it's just it's like a lightness that. And do I see that in myself? Not the same way. Although I do appreciate it when I do get to laugh. So anyway, that's the one quality I can say right off the top of my head.
One that pops right away is someone who doesn't complain. Someone who doesn't stay in the victim and in the without mentality. Like I understand grieving, I understand something having happened and stuff like that. But for the person that is a pessimist or only comes with problems, that is not a quality I like in people. I cherish the people who come with solutions.
Yeah.
I guess that's the best way to put it.
Well, it's interesting because the next question is about pet peeves. So it's almost like these questions are mirrors of themselves. What do you like and what don't you like about the people around you and why? Grace?
Yeah, so it's hard for me because there's so much that is combined with not just like the person in front of me, but the gut feeling that I get about that person. Because the exact same behavior, right? So somebody could come in the door, I'd be bouncing off the wall. I tend to collect ADHD people. Bouncing off the wall, very exuberant and loud and laughing and ask blunt questions and all of that. I can like that in somebody that my gut is like, yes, good person, good soul, get to know them. But hate those exact same things, it's a strong word, dislike those exact same things in somebody that my gut is like, I don't know, or just flat out like, no, don't talk to them. So it's hard to really say like every time, this is what I like, every time. It's less of that, it's more of a spectrum, which I know is really popular these days, so that means I'm in the crowd, yay. But, you know, it's one of those things where it really just depends on the person and depends on almost their relationship to themselves. Because if they can be exuberant or quiet, but still have a valid relationship with themselves, which is the one that they put up front as well, I'm going to be able to connect to them better. Because even if they have only a few words, those words are very true to their core, so I can understand them sooner.
Thanks for putting that. You have such a great way of putting things, because I really, that's what I was thinking when I was trying to say what I said a minute ago, which is like, doesn't everyone love somebody who's a good listener? Doesn't everyone love, you know, when we talk about disembodied qualities, we can all say that we like this, that, or the next thing, but it's how are they manifest in a particular person? Right? And how do I relate to that, right? Because there's some people that have a laugh that annoys the out of me, and they're still as, you know, it's a sincere laugh on their part as yours is on yours, and I don't react to the same qualities in all the people, and that's a really good thing to think about. You know, why something bugs me in somebody and it doesn't bug me in somebody else.
For me, it's like I'm trying to boil it down into a larger thing, and it's what I feel when I'm with the person physically.
Right.
Do I feel energized? Do I feel like I want to be there? Or am I looking at the clock, waiting for time to end? And there's a number of qualities that are intertwined with that person, where we're at, what we're doing, that all dictates that.
Yeah.
Granted,
I've heard you say that lately, stuff like that. The thing about, you know, feeling like you're waiting for the time to pass and using that as a way to mark if that's a person that should be in your circle, or at least in your close circle, right? That's a good way to tell when somebody's not not even that there's anything wrong with them, but it's just somebody that's
There's no
not right for
connection.
you.
There's no
right.
connection.
It's not a right fit for you, and that's important. And so then, I guess those are the two questions, right? Wonderful qualities and pet peeves, and what do we see in other people, and how do we see them in ourselves?
Nope, I'm perfect.
Oh yeah. Sure you are. Me too. I'm perfect too.
Yes, you are, Mama. Of course you are.
No. I love the fantasy, but I'm not.
Pet peeves. I absolutely have I have to think about them. What pet peeves do you guys have? Kieran?
Yeah.
A funny story about my ex. She used to look at me when she'd get mad. She's like, "The world would be such a better place if everyone was like you." And I was like, "Okay."
That's a strange backhanded not compliment.
But I would just like shrug and I would be like, "Maybe."
Yes, Master Hurricane, Joshua has a few pet peeves like that. Somebody driving slow in the fast lane, somebody standing in front of the train doors.
Oh my God.
Somebody playing music way too loud on the train that takes everybody. Yeah.
Like those pet peeves are because they're inconsiderate for the space that they're taking.
Right.
They're being selfish, and they're so inward into their. Anyway, I can go down.
I know.
So it's like, do I see the pet peeves? How would that being a pet peeve for me? How do I mirror that pet peeve through my own magic?
You mean what kind of a pet peeve do you have?
Do
you do like what you...
Then I mean, not standing in the doorways and shit like that, but do I mirror that behavior in other ways?
You mean, are there things that are annoying about you?
No.
Okay, well, there you go.
Next, Danielle.
So what are you asking for? Danielle?
Yes. What's annoying about it?
Not
Tell
going
me
there.
Tell me my
Not going there. Danielle?
I couldn't agree more with Joshua. Not that I take the train, but I swear to God, it would drive me fucking bonkers if somebody was standing in front of me like that. But also, I think that chewing excessively loud when you're right next to me, something crunchy, when you sound like you're chewing on rocks, I'm gonna break your face. Like don't laugh. I have like 30. My wife will chew tortilla chips and Pringles only like that, and it drives me fucking bonkers. That's it. But I do believe that it's, being aware of the people around you and being considerate to other people. When you're not considerate to the folks around you, when you're in a train and suddenly somebody's blaring music, are you serious? No, you need to be considerate of the folks around you. End of story. That's it.
What I've realized is it's because of the iPad generation, people getting so given permission to play it loud everywhere and anywhere they go because it was the distraction device, that they've taken that as their normal behavior out in public. And it's like, for the other people on the spectrum who can't focus on two sounds happening in two different spaces, I lose my fucking mind. It's like
I can't handle it. It's instantly, I'm annoyed because I'm trying to do whatever and can't think about anything else besides how fucking rude and inconsiderate you are.
Yeah,
By the way, now
it's funny. I don't even think about it. In terms of the person being rude and inconsiderate. I'm just so distracted by the noise itself that I can't do anything. Like, I can't even get to the person who's generating the noise. It's just the noise so, kills me that I can't get past anything.
Piercing. It's the only thing I hear.
Uh-huh.
I love listening to loud music, and I have such a hard time hearing. And so when I can only hear that, I'm insta-pissed.
Dude, insta-pissed.
I don't even want to hear anything else.
Insta-pissed. Yes.
Yeah.
So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to get a speaker and I'm going to take my music on, and it's going to be like jazz or some shit that is actually decent to listen to. Decent in my taste. Sorry, no judgment, total judgment. And sorry, I'm going down my game plan now. Never mind. Woosah.
100% judgment. 100%.
Wait a minute. How do they know you're music?
There's Mary.
Oh, that's our Mary. Okay.
Yeah, Hermanos Gutierrez.
Right. All right. So we have less than 3 minutes left for the hour. There it goes, just like that. And so if you want to have some more fun with us, kicking these things around, please come and join us on TikTok and Instagram every day this week. at 12 o'clock, from 12 to 1 Eastern time, if you're somewhere in another time zone. We're going to be here every day, taking one of these at a time. It's really something to dig into these questions for a whole hour. And so I know some of you here are with us, and I look forward to seeing you all tomorrow, but feel free to join us, any of you that can.